If I had left 5 minutes earlier, none of this would have happened. I jammed my phone into my pocket, cursing under my breath. Another stupid meeting I didn't need to attend, another waste of an already cracked day. Head down, I pushed open the door and slammed into someone coming in. Papers exploded around us. I staggered back, muttering an apology, but my words died in my throat when I met her eyes. Wide, startled. Deep brown, almost black. She laughed, a nervous, startled sound, and dropped to her knees to gather the scattered sheets. I knelt automatically, heart hammering harder than the collision deserved. "I'm sorry," she said, voice low, husky. She looked up at me through dark lashes. "I'm a mess." I managed a breathless, "No, it was me. I wasn't watching." She smiled then, small but real, like a secret she'd decided to let me in on. I wanted to say something clever. I wanted to make her laugh again. Instead, I just handed her a crumpled flyer, my hand brushing hers. "Electric. Real. Immediate." "Thanks," she said, standing, smoothing her skirt. "You okay?" "Yeah," I said. "Are you?" "A beat." Her eyes searched mine like she was looking for something, or maybe like she already knew something I didn't. Then she nodded, slow. "Yeah. Just bad day, I guess." "Same," I said. "Maybe we're each other's bad day luck." That earned a real laugh. Her whole face lit up. "Maybe." We stood there, caught. I couldn't move. I didn't want to. "I'm Claire," she said. I gave her my name. She repeated it under her breath like she was memorizing it. "Are you late for something?" she asked. "Probably," I said, and to my own surprise, I added, "But it can wait." Something shifted. The air between us thickened, heavy with possibility. Claire looked down at the mess of papers, then back at me. Decision flickered across her face. "Do you want to get a coffee?" I laughed, a short, stunned sound. "Now?" "Yeah," she said. "Now." The moment stretched. My mind threw up a dozen reasons to say no. Meetings. Deadlines. Schedules. But my heart, my stupid, hopeful heart, said yes before I could stop it. "Okay," I said. Her smile then, I swear it cracked something open inside me. Something that had been locked away for a long, long time. We walked without speaking, shoulder to shoulder. Close enough that if I shifted even a little, I would have brushed against her. I didn't. Not yet. I was scared if I touched her, I'd never be able to stop. The cafe was half a block down, a hole in the wall with a hand-painted sign. She ordered black coffee, I got the same. We sat in the corner, tucked into a booth so small our knees bumped beneath the table. "I don't usually do this," Claire said, wrapping her hands around the mug. "Me neither." "Then why now?" I should have lied. Said something easy. Something smooth. Instead, the truth tumbled out. "Because if I don't, I'll regret it." She stared at me. Not blinking. Not breathing. "I feel the same," she whispered. I didn't know what to say. I didn't know what I was feeling. Only that something bigger than logic was pulling me closer to her, like gravity had shifted and she was now the center of everything. We talked for hours. About nothing. About everything. She was funny and sharp and a little sad around the edges, and every time she smiled, it was like the world spun a little differently. When the cafe closed, she walked me to my car. We stood there, the night cool around us, unwilling to let go of the fragile thread between us. "I'm glad you bumped into me," she said. I laughed softly. "Best accident of my life." She hesitated, teeth tugging her lower lip, then leaned in. "Not much. Just enough to make it clear. If I wanted to kiss her, all I had to do was close the distance." My heart exploded in my chest. My hands shook. My whole body screamed yes. I kissed her. Her mouth was warm and urgent and a little uncertain, like she wasn't sure if she was allowed to want this as much as she did. I kissed her again to erase the doubt. She melted against me with a soft sound, and I felt it, the shift. The change. The before and after. When we finally pulled apart, she rested her forehead against mine. "I don't know what this is," she whispered. "But I don't want it to stop." Me neither. We stood there in the dark, strangers tied together by a single collision, not knowing that everything, absolutely everything, was about to change. We didn't make plans. We didn't need to. The next morning, I woke up with my phone buzzing beside me. A text. "Claire, coffee? Same place?" I didn't even think. I threw on yesterday's jeans, grabbed my keys, and drove like I had somewhere urgent to be, and maybe I did. She was already there when I arrived, sitting outside this time, the spring sun catching gold strands in her dark hair. She stood when she saw me, waving like we were old friends. Like we had years behind us instead of one night. I smiled so hard it hurt. We spent the whole Saturday together. Coffee bled into a walk, the walk into lunch, lunch into aimless driving with the windows down and music too loud. No agenda. No pressure. Just the two of us in this strange, electric bubble where nothing else mattered. I learned little things about her. She hated raisins. She loved thunderstorms. She tapped her fingers against her thigh when she was thinking hard about something she didn't want to say. I told her things I hadn't told anyone in years. About my failed relationship that left me half afraid to hope again. About my habit of shutting people out when things got too real. Claire listened like it all mattered. "You're not broken," she said once quietly when I stumbled through something messy about how I wasn't good at relationships. "How do you know?" I asked, half a joke, half a plea. She smiled, small and sure. "Because you're here?" Late that night, parked outside her apartment, neither of us ready to say goodbye, she leaned across the console and kissed me again. Slower this time. "Sure. I don't usually." She began, pulling back, and I cut her off without thinking. "I know," I said. Something flickered in her eyes, relief, maybe, or fear. I couldn't tell which. "I don't want this to be casual," she said. "I'm not good at casual." My throat tightened. Me neither. It should have been terrifying. It wasn't. It felt inevitable. We sat there, the engine ticking in the silence, promises neither of us knew how to say, filling the car. "You want to come up?" she asked, voice almost shy. Every part of me screamed yes. Every part of me knew once I said yes, I was all in, no half measures, no escape routes. I nodded. Her apartment was small, messy in the way a place gets when someone lives in it fully. She kicked off her shoes, pulled me inside by the hand, and closed the door behind us. The night blurred. Her lips on mine. Her hands finding all the places I'd forgotten were tender. The way she said my name like it was something sacred. After, tangled together in the too small bed, I couldn't sleep. I watched the ceiling, heart too full to settle. Claire stirred beside me. "You okay?" I turned my head. She looked sleepy and soft, hair wild halo around her face. "Yeah," I whispered. She smiled and reached for me. Her hand on my chest, fingers spread like she was trying to feel my heartbeat. "You scare me," she said. My stomach dropped. "Why?" "Because this feels." She trailed off, searching for words. "Big." "It does," I admitted. "And what if we ruin it?" The fear in her voice mirrored my own. "We won't," I said, though I had no right to promise. Though my own record said otherwise. Claire closed her eyes. "Don't disappear on me." "I won't." She nodded like she wanted to believe me but wasn't sure she could. Neither was I. But I stayed. I stayed through Sunday morning coffee, through grocery runs and lazy afternoons reading on her couch. I stayed through that first stupid fight about nothing, about everything, when she cried and I wanted to smash something for making her sad. "I don't know how to do this," she said, wiping her eyes with the back of her hand. "Neither do I said, pulling her into my arms. "Let's figure it out together." She clung to me like she was drowning. And maybe we both were. Still, I stayed. Until the night she didn't answer her phone. Until the night I went looking. And found her secrets instead. It started small. A text left on read. A call that rang out. I told myself it was nothing. People got busy. Phones died. Life happened. But the knot in my gut wouldn't loosen. When I showed up at her door, it wasn't dramatic. I didn't pound. I didn't yell. I just stood there, heart hammering, trying to find a reason, any reason, not to think the worst. The lights were on. I knocked once, then pushed the door open. "Claire?" No answer. Her apartment was the same, books stacked haphazardly, mugs half forgotten on tables, but it felt different. Like someone had peeled back the skin of it and the rawness underneath was showing. "Claire," I said again, softer this time. Movement in the bedroom. I stepped inside and stopped. She was sitting on the floor, her back against the bed, knees drawn up, arms wrapped around herself. Her face was pale. Her eyes were red. A man's voice echoed in my head, "Don't disappear on me." She looked up at me, startled, guilty, broken. "Hey," I said gently, moving closer. "Talk to me." She opened her mouth. Closed it. Opened it again. "I didn't want you to see this," she whispered. I knelt beside her. "See what?" Her hands trembled as she reached into a drawer and pulled out a battered folder. It looked old, like it had been opened and closed 1,000 times. She shoved it toward me like it was something filthy. I opened it. Bills. Medical records. Court documents. Letters. So many letters. Words blurred in front of my eyes. Debt. Treatment denied. Eviction pending. Final notice. I looked at her. Confusion choking me. "I'm not who you think I am," Claire said, voice shaking. "I'm not stable. I'm barely hanging on." I dropped the folder and cupped her face in my hands. Hey, look at me." She did, reluctantly. "You think this changes how I feel?" I said. "You should run," she said, choking out a broken laugh. "You should get as far away from me as you can." "Claire." She pushed my hands away, climbed to her feet, started pacing the room like a caged animal. I let you think I had it together, she said. I let you think I was normal. You are normal, I said. You're human. No, she snapped. I'm a mess. I'm drowning. I don't have room for anyone else's feelings. I can't fix myself, let alone us. I stood there, helpless. I lied, she said, quieter now. When I said I don't do casual, that's not true. I've done casual. A lot. Because it's easier. It's safer. The confession sliced through me. I didn't want to fall for you, she whispered. But I did. I did. And now you're in it and I'm going to hurt you. I crossed the room. I grabbed her hands, even when she tried to pull away. I don't care, I said fiercely. I'm in it. I'm choosing this. I'm choosing you. Tears spilled down her cheeks. You'll hate me when it gets hard. Then let it get hard, I said. Let it be ugly and complicated and messy. I'm not going anywhere. She crumpled then, sagging against me, sobs racking her small frame. I held her through it, heart breaking for her. For us, for the impossible road ahead. That night I stayed. I stayed even though the couch was too small and my neck ached by morning. I stayed even though she barely spoke to me the next day, retreating into herself. I stayed when she picked fights over nothing, when she flinched away from my touch like she didn't deserve it. Days blurred into weeks. There were moments, flashes, where I caught glimpses of the Claire I'd met that first night. Her laughter, light and unguarded. Her eyes, full of mischief and something deeper. But mostly there was silence, fear, distance. I told myself love was enough, that if I loved her hard enough, deep enough, I could fix it. I was wrong. The first time she said, maybe you should leave, I didn't believe her. The second time, she said it with her eyes, not her mouth. The third time, she said nothing at all, just packed a box of my things and left it by the door. No anger, no shouting, just surrender. I stood there, staring at the box, at the woman I loved more than breathing, and realized she wasn't pushing me away because she didn't care. She was pushing me away because she cared too much, because she thought love, real love, was a burden too heavy for her broken hands to carry. The door clicked shut behind me. I stood there for a long time, box in my hands, trying to feel angry, trying to summon something sharper than the hollow ache spreading through my chest. Couldn't. I left without another word. Left because staying would have made her hate herself more. Left because love isn't supposed to be a weapon you use to keep someone cornered. For the first time in months, my phone stayed silent. No good morning texts, no late night calls, no tiny blue notifications lighting up my screen. At first, I told myself it was a break. Space. Time to heal. But days dragged into weeks. Weeks into a month. And nothing. I filled the silence with work, with friends I had half forgotten, with mindless hours spent scrolling, pretending not to check my phone every 5 minutes. Sometimes, late at night, I'd type out a message, I miss you, and delete it before I could send. What was the point? She made her choice. She chose her fear over me, and still some traitorous part of me clung to hope, to the memory of her laugh, the weight of her head on my shoulder, the way she whispered my name like it was a lifeline. Maybe love wasn't enough. Maybe it never had been. One night, after too many drinks and not enough sleep, I found myself parked outside her apartment. Lights off, windows dark. I didn't get out. I didn't knock. I just sat there, forehead against the steering wheel, heart cracking wider with every minute. Move on, my friends said. There are other people out there, my brother said. You deserve someone who chooses you, my mother said. They were right. And still, when I closed my eyes, all I saw was Claire. The guilt, the stubbornness, the way she lit up when she forgot to be afraid. It was stitched into my bones now. Weeks turned colder. Winter creeping over the city in heavy gray drifts. And then, just as I started to believe maybe this was it, maybe this was how it ended, I saw her, at the park of all places, sitting on a frozen bench, bundled in a too-thin jacket, staring at nothing. My heart jumped into my throat. I almost turned away. Almost told myself she didn't want saving. But some invisible thread pulled me forward. I stood in front of her, waiting. She looked up slowly. Her face was thinner. Her eyes were bruised with exhaustion. But when she really saw me, something flickered across her face. Relief. Fear. Longing. "Hey," she said, voice small. "Hey." Neither of us moved. The wind cut between us, cold and sharp. "I didn't think I'd see you again," she said. "Yeah," I said, swallowing hard. "Me neither." She hesitated. Then, "I miss you." The words hit harder than any slap. "You didn't call," I said. "I couldn't," she whispered. "I was scared I just hurt you again." I nodded slowly. "You did hurt me." Tears welled in her eyes. "But," I said, stepping closer, "I'm still here." Her breath caught. "I'm not here to fix you, Claire," I said. "I'm not here to save you. I broke off, voice cracking. "I just want to love you." She stood, shaking, barely upright. "I don't know how to let you," she said. "Then let's learn," I said. "Together." Silence. Her hands, clenched at her sides, trembled. I reached out, not grabbing, not forcing. Just offering. A long beat. Then, slowly, she placed her hand in mine. It was cold. Shaking. But it was there. She was there. And for the first time in what felt like forever, hope didn't feel like a lie. The first thing we learned was how to exist in silence. Not the heavy, punishing kind we had lived in before, the one filled with unsaid words and walking on eggshells tension. This silence was different. Softer. A place where we could simply be without demanding anything from each other. Claire didn't rush to explain. I didn't press. We sat on the park bench until the cold seeped into my bones, until she leaned her head carefully against my shoulder like she thought I might break if she leaned too hard. I didn't move. I let her. Maybe we were both more fragile than we wanted to admit. After that, we started small. Coffee once a week. Walks with no destination. Messages that didn't ask too much. No declarations. No demands. Just presence. One evening, we found ourselves at the old cafe again, the one where everything had started. She picked at a muffin, barely eating, while I sipped my coffee and watched her fidget with the sleeve of her sweater. "I'm scared every day," she said finally. I set my cup down. "Me too." She blinked, caught off guard. "I'm scared," I continued, "that I'll wake up one day and you'll be gone. Or that I'll screw this up. Or that loving you isn't enough." Claire stared at me like she was seeing me for the first time. "But the fear doesn't mean I stop," I said. "It just means it matters." Her fingers crept across the table, hesitated, then brushed against mine. Tiny contact. Huge meaning. "I want to try," she whispered. "Me too." We built from there, clumsy, unsteady. We fought sometimes. We misunderstood each other. There were days she withdrew, days I doubted if we were strong enough. But there were also moments when I caught her laughing and not trying to hide it. Moments when she touched my face like she couldn't believe I was real. Moments when I realized I wasn't holding my breath anymore. One Saturday afternoon, we sat in her living room, sunlight spilling across the floor. Claire curled up beside me, head on my chest, a book forgotten in her lap. She tilted her face up to me. "Tell me something true," she said. I thought for a long moment. "I love you," I said. Her breath hitched. "And you don't have to say it back," I added quickly. "You don't owe me anything." Tears welled in her eyes. "I want to," she said, voice shaking. It's still hard sometimes. To believe it's real." "I know," I said. She wiped her eyes and tucked herself tighter against me. "You're patient," she murmured. "I'm stubborn," I corrected. She laughed, a real, unguarded sound that made my chest ache. Weeks passed. Then months. There were setbacks. Bad days when she locked herself away and refused to let me in. Days when I wanted to slam doors and scream and demand why she couldn't just trust me already. But every time, we found our way back. Not with grand gestures. Not with promises too big to keep. With small things. A hand held. A fight apologized for. A note left on a pillow. Bit by bit, the wounds between us healed. One night, as summer started to bleed into fall, Claire stood in front of me, barefoot in her tiny kitchen, hair a mess, face scrubbed clean. "I love you," she said, barely above a whisper. My heart stopped. "I love you," she repeated, louder now, stronger. I crossed the room in 2 steps and kissed her like it was the first time all over again. This time, she didn't flinch away. She leaned in. She stayed. It should have been enough. The quiet mornings. The laughter. The way she said "I love you" now without looking like she was bracing for impact. It should have been enough. But the past doesn't vanish just because you build something new over it. It waits. Patient. Sharp. It found us on a Tuesday. Claire's phone buzzed while we were cooking dinner. She glanced at the screen, and the color drained from her face. She dropped the spoon. clattered against the stove. "Who is it?" I asked, crossing the kitchen toward her. She didn't answer. I took the phone gently from her hand. The name on the screen was one I didn't recognize, but her reaction told me everything. "It's him," she said hoarsely. "Who?" "My ex," she whispered. "The one who—" She broke off, pressing a trembling hand to her mouth. I didn't need her to finish. "The one who broke her first. The one who made her afraid of love." The phone buzzed again, and again. I set it face down on the counter, rage boiling under my skin. "Have you talked to him before?" I asked, keeping my voice as steady as I could. "No," she said quickly. "Not since before I met you. I swear." "I believe you," she sagged with relief. "What does he want?" Tears brimmed in her eyes. He said he's sorry, that he misses me, that he wants to see me." I clenched my fists. Claire shook her head fiercely. I don't want anything to do with him. But just seeing his name, it's like—" She shuddered. "It's like being dragged backward." I crossed to her, pulled her against me. "You're not going back," I said into her hair. "You hear me? You're here. You're safe." She clung to me, small and shaking. But the damage was done. Over the next few days I saw it happening, the slow unraveling. She jumped at shadows. She went quiet for long stretches. She flinched when my voice got too loud, even if I wasn't angry. Fear had snuck back in, and this time it was clawing at both of us. I tried to be patient. I tried to understand. But some nights, lying awake beside her stiff, silent body, doubt whispered its cruel little questions. What if you're just another chapter in the story of her breaking? What if loving her isn't enough to keep her from running again? What if you lose her anyway? One night, she sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the floor. "I'm sorry," she said without looking at me. "For what?" "For being like this," she said. "For not being normal. For ruining everything." I sat up, heart aching. "You're not ruining anything," I said. "You're surviving." She laughed. A harsh, broken sound. "Is that enough? Just surviving?" "It is if it means we get to survive together." She finally looked at me, eyes red-rimmed. "I don't know how to trust that," she said. "I want to. God, I want to." "Then start small," I said. "Trust me with one thing. One moment." She bit her lip. "I'm scared," she whispered. "I know," I said, reaching for her hand. "So am I." She let me hold her. Let me steady her shaking fingers between mine. And for the first time I really saw it, that this wasn't a flaw in her. It was a scar. She had been loved badly. She had been taught that love meant pain, betrayal, abandonment. No wonder she flinched from it even now. But scars mean healing. Scars mean survival. And if it took the rest of my life to prove to her that love could be different, then so be it. Because when she leaned into me, hesitantly, her body trembling and uncertain, it wasn't weakness I felt. It was courage. It was the bravest thing I had ever seen. We never went back to who we were before. Maybe that's the real truth about love, real love. It doesn't let you go back. Pulls you forward, broken pieces and all, into something new. We didn't heal overnight. Some days Claire still woke in the middle of the night, gasping, lost in nightmares she didn't want to explain. Some days I still doubted if I was strong enough to hold steady through all her storms. But we learned something better than easy happiness. We learned how to stay. The first real turning point came quietly. We were sitting at her kitchen table, passing a marker back and forth, scribbling plans on a napkin. Not big plans, not life plans. Weekend plans. Little plans. Safe plans. Claire doodled a crooked sun in the corner of the napkin. When she looked up, her eyes were steady. "I want you to move in," she said. It took a second for the words to register. "You're sure?" I asked carefully. She nodded. "Not because I'm afraid of being alone. Not because I need you to fix me." She reached for my hand. "Because I want to build something with you." Something inside me cracked open in the best way. I squeezed her hand. "Okay," I said, my voice thick. "Let's build it." It wasn't perfect. Packing up my place was messy. Figuring out who got the good side of the bed, who left toothpaste uncapped, who needed silence first thing in the morning. It was all messy. There were fights, tears, apologies whispered into each other's skin late at night. But there was laughter, too. And quiet Sundays spent doing nothing but existing in the same space. Little by little, the life we built together started to outweigh the lives we had escaped. One night, after a long day, we sat on our too small couch, legs tangled, takeout boxes scattered around us. Claire rested her head against my chest. I used to think love meant waiting for the other shoe to drop, she said softly. Bracing for the end. I kissed the top of her head. Me too. She shifted so she could look up at me, her eyes solemn and bright. But now, she said, voice thick with emotion, now I think maybe love just means choosing each other. Every day. Even when it's hard. Especially when it's hard. I felt my heart expand so big it hurt. I choose you, I said, the words so sure they left no room for doubt. Always. Tears welled in her eyes, but this time she didn't turn away from them. She let them fall, let me see her, all of her. She pulled a tiny velvet box from her pocket, so small, so unassuming, and placed it in my hand. I stared at it, stunned. I'm not asking for forever, she said quickly, seeing my shock. I'm asking for today. And tomorrow. And the day after that. My hands shook as I opened the box. Inside was a simple ring. No diamonds. No show. Just a circle, strong, unbroken. Like us. Yes, I whispered. I didn't need to think about it. Didn't need to map out every fear and doubt. I just needed to say yes to her. To us. I slipped the ring on. She did too. No ceremony. No witnesses. Just us sitting on a couch surrounded by pizza boxes and clutter and the messy, beautiful life we'd chosen. She kissed me then, slow, sure, certain. And in that kiss I felt it. Not an ending. Not a beginning. A bridge. Built from every broken part of us. Built strong enough to carry us wherever we needed to go. Together. Always.